You keep talking. It's not coming through. Melanie, talk.
Hi, Stewart.
Hey, Melanie.
Okay, it's the speakers. All right, stand by. All right, we're good.
Can you guys hear me now?
There's Rachel. Yes, we got you.
That's you.
We have some speaker-itis on this end.
All right. You good, Wolfie?
Yep, whenever you're ready.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. We'd like to welcome Stewart Cink to the virtual interview room here at the 2021 Travelers Championship. Stewart, you're a two-time winner of this event, having won in 1997 and 2008. Just some opening comments on what it's like to be back here.
Travelers is a great event to come back to. I know that all the players that come through here say that, and they all mean it. And I think we all speak for everybody. It just feels like it feels a lot like everybody's hometown being here. The fans are numerous and friendly, and they're supportive, and the golf course is really fun to play. Travelers has been a tremendous sponsor for a long time now, and I understand they extended out to like 2030, which is mind-blowing. It's a great event to come to, and it's one that we certainly circle on the calendar as a very important event. And I think you see that too with the strength of the field. The field strength has just continued to increase here, and despite the times when it's right around the U.S. Open and players might be wanting to take a breather, they still show up and play here. It's really a good testament to how nicely run and how well sponsored the event is.
Awesome. And do you have any standout memories from either of those wins?
Oh, well, standout memories. Is there anything in a 48-year-old's mind that stands out from 1997? Not really, but well, I know my son Reagan, who now is my caddy for the rest of the season. He was born that year, so he was only about 3 or 4 months old at my first win here in '97. And the one moment I remember from that is the shot I hit on 17 on the Sunday round. I was in the left rough up on the bank, and I had a really thick lie and nothing but water between me and the hole. And I remember debating, like, do I go for this? Do I lay up? What do we do? I was at or tied, in the lead or tied, and right at the top of the leaderboard, and I decided to go for it, thinking, how many times are you going to get a chance to win a PGA Tour event? And I remember somehow mustering it out of the rough and up onto the front of the green and two putting, and one by one, everybody else fell back, and I was left to be the winner. So that's actually my greatest memory from this tournament ever. That one moment where I had to make a decision to whether to go for it or not, and it paid off and got my first win and kind of set me on the right track in my career.
Awesome. And then based on, you mentioned play and the course in your first answer. So on top of your 2 wins here, you have a couple runner-up finishes, 6 top 10s. What specifically do you like about this place that helps you perform so well?
I don't know. It's not a super long course, but that really doesn't fit into my style of game. I would actually prefer long and big courses over this type of course, but here I think the lines off the tee feel comfortable to me. I almost never have to figure out which tree to aim for or whatever. It's just always like it just jumps out. And those kind of courses are courses you feel comfortable playing on. And also I think reading the greens is, I'm comfortable reading the greens. And that also means a lot. Putting is such an important part of the game towards winning anyway. We know that hitting is really important for consistency over the whole season, but really putting is where you have your peaks and your valleys. And so I feel comfortable in these greens, and it's just a course I feel comfortable playing in a lot of ways.
Awesome. With that, we'll open it up to questions. First up, Steve DiMaglio with USA Today.
Stewart, first of all, how are you feeling after last week?
I think the biggest impact on me was probably the time change coming over on the charter flight yesterday. It's really great for Travelers to organize a flight for us, and but you can't avoid that 3-hour time change. So West Coast to East Coast always takes a day or two, and I feel a little sluggish today. But I just got out of the gym and where I performed moderate to average, and so it'll feel good tomorrow. But today we're dragging a little bit.
And have you noticed your season opening win ended a drought of like 11 and a half, 12 years. You hadn't won Heritage, I think, in 17 years, and you haven't won this tournament now in 13 years. But if you were to win, it'd be 13 years. So there's some type of goofy symmetry going on there.
Well, if you count all those tournaments that I didn't win this year or that I've never won, there's a lot bigger gaps between those wins. So those continue to grow, but I don't know if there's any symmetry or not. I just, that people ask you, where are your favorite places to go on the tour? And I always say that Hartford is one and Harbortown is one. And they say, well, of course, you got multiple wins at those. But that's not really the reason. I think the reason I have multiple wins at those is because I enjoy being in these places so much. And this just feels like a homey place to me right here around this area. And there's such great fans and support here. And I've gotten to know the people from Travelers. And so I would love to have another win here. It would be awesome. Of course, any win on the PGA Tour means so much these days. But to repeat yourself and to win at tournaments and at venues where you've won before is even more special because you get to relive some of those old memories with relationships you've been building.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, Daniel Rappaport with Golf Digest.
Hey, Stewart, how much is the Ryder Cup on your radar these days?
Well, the Ryder Cup is definitely like a reward instead of a goal. So, I mean, I feel like the way to get on the Ryder Cup team is to do all the little things you have to do to compete well every day on every shot. And so I don't feel like when I tee up my first tee ball here on 1 or 10, wherever it is, that I'm going to be hitting that shot in order to make the Ryder Cup team. You know what I mean? That's a reward that's so far out there, removed from each individual stroke that I have to play here and every decision I have to make, that I just try to make my goals more closely tied to stuff that's controllable and feasible, like make the right decisions every day, keep my mistakes limited, things like that. Be ready to hit every shot, little intangibles, because I can control those. I can't control what other players do, and that has so much to do with whether you make the Ryder Cup team. Plus, I'm like in, 30th place or worse on the list. 28th place. So, I mean, I've got 2 wins and I'm in 28th. So what does that tell you about the kind of golf I played in the other seasons that counted towards qualifying?
And then as a follow-up to that, having played on 5 consecutive Ryder Cup teams, what's your favorite thing that a captain did, whether it was a gift or a guest speaker that they brought in? What jumps out as like an awesome Ryder Cup memory that a captain produced?
Well, I have to say that Zinger, the first time he introduced the pod system to us, which wasn't at the Ryder Cup, it was before, but he got us all invested in that right away. And it was amazing the way that the whole team rallied behind that and got into it, and look what happened. We won. It was amazing. And I think the pod system probably was related to us winning and probably was responsible, but I can't say for sure that it wasn't just the fact that we all rallied behind something. Somebody could have said all of your favorite colors is green this week, and we could have been like, yes, let's go, and we might have won. But we would have gotten behind something, and we got behind that pod system. So that was the coolest thing I thought a captain brought to the table. As far as the gifts, without question, my favorite gift was from Tom Lehman. It was a mountain bike, and I still use it. It was awesome. He gave us basically the catalog to this mountain bike company, and I said, pick. And I was like, I think I'm going with that one. And it's amazing. It's held up great, and it's still like just this tremendous, like high tech, even though that was 15 years ago. So those are some cool memories from the Ryder Cup. Definitely, the pod system when Zinger laid it out was the neatest captain move I've seen. As far as like, here's how we're going to win this thing.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man.
You got it.
Next up, Bob Lazari with Monday Night Sports Talk.
Hi, Stewart. We kind of touched on this already. 6-10 top 10 finishes here. The scene of your very first PGA Tour win. Of course, many of us will not forget the monstrous drive in 2008 when you won again here on the 18th. That was incredible. But without putting words in your mouth, is it fair to say that the TPC in Cromwell is one of your very favorite stops on tour and will be very special throughout your life?
It definitely is. I mean, I got my first win on the PGA Tour here. So I think that definitely qualifies as a special place for me. I also made my first start here on the PGA Tour as a pro. I had qualified for one as an amateur when I was in college, but as a pro, this tournament gave me my start. And I made the cut, and I finished 18th. I got to play with Marco Mira on Sunday, who was right at the very top of the game. This was 1995. So it wasn't just my first win. It was my first start on the PGA Tour when it counted. And, I'll be forever indebted to them for giving me that start. They saw something in me coming out of college that they thought deserved a spot here. And I know there's a lot of players that didn't get a spot. So that meant a lot to me. I got a win here. I got a second win here. We just have, I've experienced so much really great stuff here. My wife has too. We just feel quite at home here in the Cromwell, Hartford area.
And one last one, Stewart. You recently turned 48, and you last won this tournament when you were 35. Over that 13-year stretch, have you significantly changed the way you prepare for tournaments as far as your fitness is concerned?
Not really. I have changed trainers a couple times. I mean, trainers, some guys, it's a tough life out here to be a trainer on the PGA Tour, and guys do it for a while, and sometimes they find other vocations or they move their business elsewhere. But I've used different trainers, so I've focused on different things. The biggest change in my fitness has been I went through an injury in 19, and so I had to tweak my fitness to sort of deal with that and get through that injury. And the base of it stayed the same, but I think the focus on the areas that needed to improve to prevent more injury have helped me be a better golfer. Just strengthening certain areas, identifying where I was weak or I was a little bit tight, and working on those areas has helped me to achieve different things in my golf swing at 48 I'm 20 yards longer than I was when I came here even last year. And so it's just really helped me focus in the right ways. And, we want to practice smart and we want to make our good decisions, but I think training smart is really, really important out here. You're not just doing squats in order to hit the ball 15, 20 yards further. I mean, everybody would like that, but you're working out to try to give yourself the best position to stay healthy and to achieve the kinds of positions in your swing on a repeated basis without hurting yourself, and being efficient and being effective with your delivery of the club to the ball the most often. Golf is all about repeatability. Bryson's pounding it, but we can't all do what Bryson does, and he's learned how to be successful in one way, and it's not the only way to do it.
Thanks, Stewart. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next up, Sean McFarland with the Hartford Current.
Hey, Stewart. Since you came here in 1995, this tournament has changed. How has sponsors has changed names? How have you seen this tournament develop and grow in the 20-plus years you've been coming here? What do you like about the direction it's going?
Well, what I like about it is the continuity that Travelers has brought here. And with Andy and Nathan, they're two faces that right away when you see them on the range that they are for the Travelers Championship. and they have put everything into it. They listen to suggestions. There's not a lot you can suggest how to run a better golf tournament than they do here. But when you do have something that you see as maybe a concern or something that could be improved, they do it. They don't just say, okay, we'll look into it. It gets done, and it's really amazing. It shows their commitment to this event and to the charities that they support. It's fabulous just to be a part of it. And I know there's few tournaments on the PGA Tour that when players talk amongst each other that we don't refer to it by the city, that we refer to it by the sponsor. And Travelers is one, John Deere is one, and certainly it used to be Hartford. It used to be the GHO, and now it's Travelers. And that's just been a organic change that's gone. I've noticed that change in the last 10 or 15 years since Travelers has been here, and it's so great to see that they've committed all the way through 2030. That's just amazing.
And kind of going off that, you mentioned this is one of your favorite stops on the tour. What about this course just sets up well for you with where your game's at right now?
Honestly, don't really know that this course sets up great for anybody's game or poorly. It's a course that has a lot of variety. You don't have to be super long, but length definitely helps on some of the holes. You don't have to be super accurate because the fairways are pretty generous, but then again, there's also water and there's some pretty thick rough. The course is not known for rough, but there is thick rough out there. So it helps to be long, to be straight, and to be smart. And if you play good quality golf here, any style of play can be successful. And it reminds me a lot of Harbortown, actually. The courses themselves are not alike at all, but the way that they don't really favor any specific style of play, I think is one similarity between here and Harbour Town, and it may be the reason that I've got 2 wins at both of those.
Great, thanks, Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
A few more questions here, Stewart. Next up, Chantel McCabe with PGA Tour Live.
Stewart, hey, good to see you this week.
Hey.
I know you alluded to the fact that a lot of players love coming to the Travelers Championship for a variety of reasons and the feedback that Andy Bissett and his team takes, but could you detail some of the other reasons why this place stands out and why it's a staple in continuing its partnership until 2030? I know obviously the 15th and a half hole is one of the staples here. What other things do you think of when you think of the Travelers Championship?
I think on the course, the first thing that most players think of is the 15th hole, not the 15th and a half, but the actual 15th hole. It's a fun hole to play. Everybody in the field can reach it. In fact, more players won't hit driver because it's not long enough to contain most drivers out here. And you really have to figure out where you're going to leave the golf ball on that hole, and there's just almost endless variety. So it's the one hole that jumps out at all the players and caddies when you think about playing here, and it's a fun position in the tournament, in the round. You know, the 15th hole, as you wind your way around that big lake, it's a lot of fun to play. And then as far as just being in this area, I think the fans here are so supportive of us. And you know, we go to places like, well, I'm not going to name any names, but we go to other places where the fans can get a little bit, you know, they're negative. You probably heard a little bit of that lately, you know, in some of the social media stuff going on. And here, I just don't feel like you hear that much. You don't get that. You get, you know, support. You get a lot of people, a lot of them, you know. Now last year we had nobody. This year we're going to have a little bit more. But in normal years before the pandemic struck us, this crowd was just amazing here, and it was just, the golf course just echoes with all these roars, and there's so many people out there supporting, and it's just a really good environment to compete.
And then if I could just follow up with one more, when it comes to the philanthropy efforts, including the Hole in the Wall Game Camp and Operation Shower, what are your thoughts on that? Any stories you've heard from them?
The only thing I know about the charities is that Hole in the Wall Gang is the one charity I know a little bit about. I played with the tournament chairman here. I think it might have been the year after I won in 2009, and I got a little bit more information about some of the charities, and that means a lot to us. That the tournament is so behind the local community and what they have been able to do. This tournament generates a lot of money, and it's just amazing that that they can support the local community like they do. There's so many people out there that are in need. I mean, it's easy to forget out here, you know, being a golfer on the PGA Tour, we're at the pinnacle of a sport, and it's a pretty good life. And if you play well, I mean, the rewards are amazing. And it's easy for us to forget that not far from here, not far from all the venues we go to, that there's people that are hurting and struggling. And it's just, I'm proud myself, and I know I speak for a lot of players, that we're proud to be part of a game that has such a great connection and such a natural vehicle, that can be such a natural vehicle to help others that are in need.
Thank you.
Last few questions here, Stewart. Next up, Steve DeMeglia with USA Today.
Stewart, hoping to tap into your memory. I'm assuming you're going to play the Open?
Yes.
What do you remember? You tied for 30th in there in 2011. What do you remember about Royal St. George's?
I believe, well, I played there twice. I believe St. George's to be the most quirky of all the layouts, and they're all great courses. They're all fabulous. But St. George's has the most unexpected bounces. It's the potential for the most weird bounces because of especially on the back nine, some holes where the ridges run not quite at a 45-degree angle, but they're just kind of like angled off to one side or the other, and you can hit great shots off the tee that end up getting kicked one way or the other. And you guys got to be ready for some of that. But it's a great course. There's some really cool shots you're going to hit on that course, and it's close to London, so hopefully the population base around there will be able to come out and make it a really an Open Championship that feels like the Open Championship should, even in these circumstances.
Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Last questions, Doug Milne with PGA Tour.
Actually, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce Burlett. He is on the line, and I was going to ask for him. But Bruce, if you're there, you can take yourself off mute, and you can ask your questions. I'll give you a second to see if that works out for you. If not, I'll ask your questions for you.
muting.
Okay, that's close enough.
You hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Go ahead. You can ask your
Hey,
question.
Stewart.
Hi, Bruce.
See you for a while.
Yeah, good to see you.
First off, what would you attribute your kind of recent renaissance here to? Obviously, 2 wins. You're one of only 3 guys that have 2 wins here so far this year. And how much that kid on the bag means to it, and how much do you really interchange with him?
Well, you answered my question with your question. So, I mean, certainly, I mean, Reagan, having Reagan, my younger son Reagan, is my caddy now, and he's going to caddy for me through the rest of the season. Having him on my bag has been just a blast this year, and 2 wins with him this season has just been like, I mean, to say that's like the cherry on the top doesn't really quite do it justice. It's just been really, really fun and quite a lot of memories we made this year, and it's been a big part of my success because Reagan's grown up playing golf, and he knows golf like I do. His skill level in golf playing is not quite as high, but the way he thinks about the game and the way he understands the shots and the lies, and it's like the tour players think about it. And so having him caddy has been like operationally excellent because he's very good at what he does, and he could caddy for anybody in the world right now. But also just the relationship that we have, it's allowed me to be totally myself on the golf course, and that's it's something that is a very important intangible when you're out there competing, just because your decision making and all that is very important. And having Reagan is like a mini me out there. We make decisions almost the same way, and when we don't agree, we always can find a place of common ground. And sometimes that's him, sometimes that's me, but there's just a really good comfort level out there, and both of us have figured out a good way to sort of approach the rounds. So it's been a big part of my success this year. I've had a good year. I've had a great year, really, for a 48-year-old, and Reagan's been a big part of that. And I also made some changes right before the season started. Now, everybody on the PGA Tour, everybody in this tournament this week has made some changes. So I'm nothing new, but I made a couple of changes. I found a little bit of extra distance right before last year, before Safeway in 2020, and just made a couple little setup changes in my game. I picked up ball speed. I was able to make my driving a lot more efficient, and therefore I picked up a lot of yardage. And it made a big difference. You know, I just there's such a close margin out here between winning and 20th place, or even, you know, finishing top 10 and missing the cut. It's such a very close margin, and when you can give yourself just a little bit of a boost in your performance, you can pass a lot of people fast, and that's kind of what I was able to do with Reagan caddying and making those adjustments.
How long is Reagan caddy for you? And second of all, you won twice here. Is there any 2 or 3 memories in particular that stand out to you?
Reagan, he caddied for me from the very beginning of this season, and then he became we decided that, we all as a family decided that he would keep caddying through this year's FedEx Cup playoffs. And he's about to get married next month, so we don't think that's a really good way to start a marriage. So he's going to caddy for me through this year, and then I'll be back on the caddy market. And then any particular memories? Certainly in 97 was my first win on the PGA Tour, and I have more memories from that actually than I did from 2008. But in 97, I remember finishing just ahead of the about third group maybe from the last group, and one by one seeing everybody come through and not make a birdie or make a bogey when they didn't need one or something. A lot of things went right for me that day, and I ended up the last guy standing. And I remember giving my wife and our kids a big group hug, and Reagan was about 3 or 4 months old, and we squished his head between us to the point where he was almost injured. And so that was a memory that we all kind of laugh at nowadays, seeing Reagan's little baby face getting smushed between mom and dad when I won my first tournament.
How about that shot off the hill in 17?
Yeah, shot off the hill was something. It was that was a dicey decision, but it was the right one as it turned out. And, you know, the way the PGA Tour rewards winning above all else, I think it was the right decision even if I dumped that in the lake, because I was trying to win that tournament. And, you know, you play by the percentages until the last couple holes on Sunday, and you decide at that point when you need to take chances, and that was a chance I needed to take. And if it had come up short and gone in the water, I still would feel very comfortable with that decision. But as it turned out, it didn't. It popped up on the front of the green, and I two-putted and went on to win.
Thanks and good luck.
All right, Bruce, thanks.
As that will end it, Stewart, appreciate the time as always. Good luck this week.
Okay, thank you.
See ya.
Good to see you.
All right.
Sound off, Wolfie?
Yep.
So, Stuart, we've got 4 fan questions.
Okay.
Wolfie's going to